Hello, CNG 132. Welcome back to another week in the course. This week we jump into week 6. We're over halfway through in the course. Let's see. Let's do some recap. Last week, if we covered 2 chapters, 7 and 8. If you have any sort of if you're doing a lab and have any sort of issues, reach out in the Hangouts. Kind of chat with your peers, or if you're doing like Sunday at midnight, um, and you have an issue, remember to document what's going on. Don't submit a blank one. I'll ding you for points and then ask you to resubmit it. The best thing to do is just document what's going on. Get in the habit of documentation. Here's a story. A long time ago, when I was taking, I think it was a server course. I had my virtual machines crash while I was at home, and I was living in Loveland. I freaked out and basically screen captured the crash, what was going on during the crash. Oh, I had a power outage. That's what it was. Something happened, and I was actually taking pictures with my phone of what was going on, and I submitted that in the lab to my instructor and said, hey, look, this is what happened. It caused my virtual machines to corrupt, and I just need a little bit more time or to start over. And he was very understanding. Jeb, he was an old instructor at Front Range, but he was understanding and said, hey, don't worry about it. Just make sure to get that homework in. So if anything goes wrong with your labs, make sure to document it. If you're having any sort of issue, don't hesitate to ask in a Google Hangout. Ask peers, hey, what's going on? Because I'm going to be looking at this from an instructor point of view, where other students can maybe say, okay, hey, look, this is how I did it, or this is how I learned it, from a student view. Collaboration is key in our industry, because we're all here to, basically, IT is just really about trying to solve problems all the time. So we're looking at this week, we're taking a look at client and application security. Hardware security, security operating system software, peripheral device security. So we take a look at hardware system security. There's a lot of built-in security around us that we really don't take advantage of. If you look at a laptop, it always has a place in it where you can tether a cord in it. Let me see if I can find an image. Laptops, projectors, almost any small device. Security policies, no security. For I don't want artwork. Let's see, security hardware for network. So hopefully they show us some. There we go. Some locks. Laptop locks. Once again, they hook into the side of your laptop. Little tiny little indent hole that has a loop. Hopefully it's metal. That these locks fit into it. You turn the key and a little foot comes out of this little lock here, this little locking mechanism. Once again, physical security. How are we going to secure a wireless router or a switch from being accessed, just in case you have a telecommunications closet that's shared with somebody else? You want to make sure that nobody can just plug into any one of these ports here and have access to your network, or the same thing with your wireless devices. You don't want people to plug into the back of a wireless device, or even really, you don't want anybody to touch these but you, the security administrator, network administrator. Securing peripheral devices. Once again, we're going to look at USB ports on a printer, USB-C ports, and USB-C ports on the back of monitors. How can we secure those? Because those are just going to be reading data. How can we secure those in the device itself? Physical security. setting up barricades, locking doors. We're going to talk about locks, application security. Once again, we look at a lot of the holes, and if you go into more studies, you're going to see that a lot of the focus is trying to get secure coding done at the very initial part. And that's going to be like web searches for your domain. What are you going to allow? What are you not going to allow? Because that once again rolls back to SQL injection attacks. How are you going to protect the company against that? Code testing, making sure that you can only enter 5 digits in a zip code, and those 5 digits have to be valid within the United States. Easy stuff to put in, but it takes time to do it. So that's why some of this code testing is definitely maybe looked over, and the secure coding techniques definitely looked over because it takes additional time. And once again, in the real world, that time it relates to money in a lot of cases. So interesting chapter this week, how to basically provide some security. I believe this is the chapter where they even show having phones. Well, let's just take a look. Having a phone and carrying a phone. Electromagnetic spying. This was a good topic. This was done earlier, very early in the years, where they're using devices. Think of this as like a Cold War technique, where they're using devices to look at printers, computer systems, monitors. Those old CRT monitors gave off radiation in the front. And of course, if a spy truck, van, or whatever was across the street, that's how they'd be looking at your information, was the radiation that was given off. Security operating systems. You will learn a lot about this because this is one of the first steps you do to get a golden image in a lot of classes. You want to basically get your server OS, your workstation OS, your network OS, which will relate to switch, access point. Once you get those to a good state, that's when you make a golden image, and then that golden image is good for, we could say 1 month, we could say 3 months. In some of the network devices, you can say 6 months. But you always want to keep up on doing the firmware patches, software updates. I thought this one, yeah. So one of the things that, and maybe it was covered with the mobile devices, would just be how you hold the device itself. Once again, cool cipher lock, great ways to put in codes. Here we have a great image of the laptop. Once again, security, and this one here is a passcode roll device. Once again, if it was just a key one, you put the key on the end, and it would kick out a little boot here, so you can't steal that laptop. And once again, for the mobile devices, maybe we haven't got there yet, but just a way to carry that device. I have a backpack, and I really, it's the only backpack that fit my laptop. 17.5 5-inch screen, so I needed a backpack that can hold a 19-inch computer. And of course, the only people that made a backpack that big was Alienware. So on the very center of my backpack's an Alienware symbol. I always really I feared to set it down because that little face broadcasted that there was a laptop in there that was, it could be an Alienware laptop, and this was many years ago. It could be an Alienware laptop, but it wasn't. It was just a laptop that had a big screen that it was easy for me to see. Once again, physical security. When I wore the laptop, or when I wore the backpack, when I wore the backpack, I would make sure, I had both shoulder straps on. It was definitely zipped up, I took the time to zip it up and not put the zippers at the top, but make sure I put it out the side. You know, I was pretty paranoid about carrying my laptop in there. And of course, it was a laptop designed to have many virtual machines on it and running at once. So have a great week this week. What do we do next week? Next week's mobile. Cool. And IoT devices. We'll have a great time next week and a good time this week. Interesting devices. Once again, we just take a look at stuff. This old video shows how to keep network cables secure. This little device here, they come in like you can get them, I think 10-foot spans, and basically your cables go in here, and that little top piece is slid over, and then no one can access your cable, cutting it and performing like a patch to their network device so they can see what kind of information you're passing. Cool stuff. This one will go down, but if you want to see it, you can jump on my channel at YouTube. There's years and years of video there. Feel free to poke around. The summer videos usually go at the same pace, so you can probably find what I did last summer and just click on it. You guys have a great week. Talk to you soon.